Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into one of India's absolute economic powerhouses, the state of Maharashtra. But we aren't just going to stand around and admire the shiny exterior. Today, we're popping the hood and looking directly at the engine. We're going to decode the systemic roadblocks holding Maharashtra's industrial sector back. And then, we'll examine the specific, targeted solutions the government is deploying to get things running smoothly again.
Just to give you an idea of the sheer scale we're dealing with here, take a look at the textile industry. It's just one of the massive cogs powering this state's economy. Maharashtra is an incredibly advanced industrial state. In fact, it has consistently been the #1 choice for both domestic and foreign investors. And this industrial sector is absolutely vital. It has this immense potential to absorb excess labor coming over from the farming sector. It drives market diversification, and it generates higher incomes and overall productivity. From chemicals and food processing to automobiles, IT, and pharmaceuticals, the state is a premier investment destination.
And if you want a number to really put that scale into perspective, 18%. According to the annual survey of industries for 2016-17, the industrial sector of Maharashtra sits at the very top position in the country, and its share in the state's net value added is a massive 18%. When a single sector contributes that heavily to the economic lifeblood of a state with over 11.24 crore people, any friction at all is a major problem that needs an immediate fix.
So here's our game plan for today. First, we'll look at the industrial engine itself. Then, we'll diagnose the hurdles to growth. And finally, we'll explore the government measures being used to repair it.
All right, let's jump straight into part 1, the industrial engine, Maharashtra's economic powerhouse.
To really grasp the economic gravity this state has, we just have to look at foreign direct investment, or FDI, coming into India. Ever since the government started liberalizing foreign investment norms back in the early 90s, Maharashtra has absolutely dominated. Get this, from April 2000 all the way to September 2017, the FDI inflow into Maharashtra was over 611,000 crore rupees. That is literally 31% of the entire country's FDI inflow. Nearly a third of all foreign direct investment goes to this one single state. It is undeniably the most favored destination for creativity, skill development, and investment.
Which brings us to part 2, hurdles to growth, diagnosing the friction.
Because look, even the most powerful engines experience wear and tear, right? The crucial question is, what actually slows down an industrial giant? It's so easy to look at those massive macroeconomic numbers and totally lose sight of the human element. So I want you to imagine for a second that you are a new entrepreneur. You've got the capital, the drive, and you want to launch a startup or open a manufacturing plant right here in Maharashtra. What are the actual on-the-ground frustrations you're going to face that might make you reconsider?
Well, according to the data, your frustrations would likely fall into one of these 7 categories. First up, you've got delays in government procedure. Classic red tape. Then, there's a lack of opportunities for skill development, meaning you might really struggle to find the trained workers you need. Add to that a lack of updated technology and poor infrastructural facilities. With all that friction, it's honestly no wonder there is a low motivation for new entrepreneurs. And rounding out the list, we see a lack of development programs and a really persistent regional imbalance across the state.
Now, what's really fascinating about these roadblocks is that they aren't all the same type of problem. If you look closely at those 7 points, you'll realize they range from super immediate, surface-level bureaucratic red tape, like government delays, all the way down to massive, deep-rooted structural issues, like geographic regional imbalances. This means the solution can't just be some one-size-fits-all policy. It requires a completely multifaceted approach.
So let's see how they fix it in part 3, government measures, basically the repair manual. Let's crack open the 2017-18 Economic Survey of Maharashtra and see exactly how the state builds a framework for recovery. You'll see pretty quickly that the government isn't just throwing random ideas at the wall to see what sticks. Instead, they're deploying highly specific, targeted antidotes to cure each individual point of friction. Let's break down what these targeted policies actually look like in practice.
Okay, first up, tackling those annoying delays in government procedure. The state initiated what's known as a single window cell. So instead of an investor having to run from department to department, jumping through endless bureaucratic hoops just to get different permits, the whole process gets streamlined into 3 simple steps. Existing and prospective investors apply, the single window cell processes the requests, and boom, all your clearances are provided efficiently from one central point. It is a direct cure for red tape.
Next, the government really needed to address the sheer lack of clear information that frustrates so many businesses. Enter MITRE, which stands for the Maharashtra Industry, Trade, and Investment Facilitation Cell. This was introduced as an online portal providing consolidated information about the entire investment process. It completely busts the bureaucratic jargon and bridges the information gap by bringing everything a business owner needs to know directly to their screen.
But hey, what about that lack of motivation for new entrepreneurs we talked about earlier? To fix that, the government is stepping in with direct financial and reputational incentives, specifically targeted at small-scale industries. The state literally provides awards for export performance, giving companies a real target to strive for. On top of that, they offer space rent subsidies to encourage these smaller industries to participate in international exhibitions. They are literally funding global ambition to get people motivated to scale up.
Now, to combat the lack of infrastructural facilities, the state utilizes the creation of SEZs, or special economic zones. These are designated areas built specifically to hypercharge industrial growth. By setting up an SEZ, the government essentially bypasses the wider infrastructural challenges of an entire region by building a localized, highly optimized environment with favorable investment terms, world-class infrastructure, and excellent trade conditions.
And to solve the overarching lack of development programs, we have the MSI-CDP, which is the Maharashtra State Industrial Cluster Development Program. This initiative is being implemented all over the state, and its specific goal is to develop micro, small, and medium enterprises. By focusing on cluster development, the state isn't just leaving small businesses to fend for themselves in isolation. Instead, they are building these collaborative, self-sustaining business ecosystems.
So there you have it. We've looked at the incredible economic power of Maharashtra, the roadblocks in its way, and the highly specific, targeted tools the government is using to clear the path. But I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to chew on. We've seen some fantastic structural repairs today, single-window cells, MyTree portals, and SEZs. But will these administrative policies actually be enough to balance out the stubborn, deep-rooted regional disparities across such a massive and geographically diverse state? It's a huge, complex challenge. And watching how these policies play out against the realities of geography is really going to define the future of Maharashtra's industrial engine. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll see you next time.